Hey friend, welcome to Milk and Honey with Lemon. The Bible says in Numbers 14:8, and if the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us safely into that land and give it to us. It is a rich land flowing with milk and honey. On this podcast, we talk about stepping into that overflow that God has for us by becoming those ultimate Proverbs 31 women. Hey, I'm Lemon. I am just like you, sister friend. I knew God had something more in store for me, but I couldn't see a way out of the laundry piles. And frankly, I resented that Proverbs 31 woman. How was I going to live up to the hype? That is until I found out how to really step into becoming this Proverbs 31 woman through leadership development. In this podcast, you're going to find financial freedom, leadership growth, and motivation so you'll be able to do all the things God has called you to do with ease and really step into that land of milk and honey. Welcome back to the Milk and Honey podcast. I'm your host, Lemon Price. I just want to say Happy New Year. I hope you had an incredible holiday season. I wanted to take this episode to explain why the solo episodes have been a little absent. So, really, honestly, since October, I don't think I've recorded a ton of solo content. And normally I do at least twice a month. There is a reason, and I don't want this to come off as an excuse. In October, I went to the Activate conference with Kingdom Alliance, which was amazing. I always love doing that and going to that. This year was a very different experience for me. I spoke on stage twice. I had 2 slots and they were big. I explained the comp plan and I announced the publishing house, a new book, like our first book, which went bestseller, and also our author academy. So I did all of that at the conference. There was a hurricane coming. I had to change my flight last minute. It was an experience. Because we were launching the book, I spent a majority of that conference working behind the scenes, making sure stuff for the book launch was good, communicating with the book launch team, working on social media, taking screenshots of everything going on, working on the reviews. I spent a majority of the conference training in between. I met some really amazing, influential people, and we just kind of clicked right away. It was such a good experience. And Brandy Thomas, she's been on the podcast so many times, but she said to me, I think you're anointed in this way to make to make connection like this. And I was just like, okay, I have this tendency to connect with people that if I said their name in certain circles, like people would be like, oh my gosh, you know them? And I'd be like, yeah. And it's not to brag or to name drop or anything like that, but it's just this like uncanny ability that I have to get in the room with people and meet people and connect with people. And so I was talking to a friend of mine, Sadie, and I said, is this even a thing somebody can be anointed in? Is this really a thing? And she was like, yeah, of course, like God can anoint you in anything. And so I really wanted to sit with it. And I was just like, okay, God, you keep putting me in rooms and connecting me with people. And there's just a lot of divine connection happening in my life. What do you want me to do with that? It was probably like a week or 2 before Thanksgiving that I said to Brandy, Molly, who's been on the podcast, and Michelle Schaefer, said to all 3 of them, listen, I think this is an area where God is calling me and highlighting to me what he wants me to do, where I'm gifted. Could you intentionally be in prayer for that with me? You don't have to tell me or anything, but could you pray about that with me? And of course, they all said yes. So I'm very intentionally praying about it. I'm like, Lord, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to use this? It feels like a gift. How do you want me to use it? Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, I'm always up before my whole family. Even on a weekend, I can't sleep in. I wake up when I'm having my alone time, I'm in prayer, and all of a sudden it hits me like a 2x4. I get a complete download from the Lord. It's so weird. There's certain things I can talk about, certain things I can't talk about. I haven't even fully talked to my husband about everything the Lord told me yet. What I got from him is that I needed to accept the new schedule. What I basically got is like, I don't have to tell people what he told me. It'll be evident this year he told me. And so I was like, okay. He's like, I need you to keep it close to the chest. I need you to be in communication with me because I don't want you to be influenced by outside expectation or perception or doubt or anything. Like, communicate with me on this because I'm taking you somewhere that only I can take you, and told me that I had been prepared. And that if I had used the influence that I have and the anointing that I have and this gift I have before in the way he wanted, it would have been wasted because I wasn't in the leadership role that I should have been. I wasn't leading the way that I wanted to be leading yet. I'm a very different person now than I was 2.5 years ago. A better version of the person I was. The way that I show up, the way that I speak, the way that I mentor, the way that I treat myself is different. The Lord gave me a complete download of my schedule. I need you to do this in the morning. This is how I want you to spend time with me. This is where I want you to put your focus. These are things I want you to learn. Here's what I want you to produce this year. Here's how I want you to lead your team. And showed me a very big vision for my team that I've only shared with Michelle and Molly because they mentor me in that capacity. It makes me sick to my stomach, which is how I know it's from the Lord. Like, it is going to be so challenging and it makes me feel sick to think about it. And so I spent literally 6 straight weeks or whatever the time, like right after Thanksgiving until the first, just preparing, changing my schedule, changing my morning routine, my evening routine, like really pouring into myself. And I kind of retreated a little bit so that I could have things in place for when the time came. And it was so funny because it was almost like the clock struck midnight. I'm so old now that I took a nap at 10:30 and woke up at 11:50 so I could be awake at midnight. So I wake up the next morning after literally I stayed awake for all of 15 minutes for midnight so I could smooch my husband and then go to sleep. So I wake up to a friend request from somebody very influential in my space. And I was like, oh, okay, we're here. I also have a connection with somebody whose podcast I would love to be on. I think that this person is incredible. This is the fourth direct connection that I have to this person. This is a very intimate family connection that I have. I was like, okay, Lord, I see you. I see the preparation. It was almost like evidence of what I told you is true. I know you believe me, but now you really have no reason to doubt me because here you go. Like I told you 2025, we were going to do things differently. You've been prepared and you were diligent in the preparation, especially the last month. And that's what I got from the Lord. It was like, okay, I saw you. You took me seriously. You didn't doubt it. And you started changing things and implementing things and making your life look and feel different. And so here's your reward. Like, we're ready to go. Are you ready to run with me? And it was just such a confirmation from the Lord. I am not one to rely on a prophetic word or anything like that. If the Lord tells me something, I believe it. And I'm like, okay, I trust you. We're in it to win it. Let's go. So, right after I get this download from the Lord of what my schedule needs to look like, which I have stuff to do, by the way, and I can talk a little bit about what that looks like. So, I get this download and then I get on this call with a couple friend of mine, and both of them are very in tune with the Lord. They are definitely prophetic. And so I'm on this call, which I expected to be maybe an hour. It went for 3. Even just some of my spiritual gifts coming out during this call that I've always been told I had, but I felt confident in, which was really interesting for the first time. It was really cool to see how using my gifting spoke directly to some people on that call. And I was like, oh, okay. God, like I see you again. And so before I get off the call, they had a word for me. Now, at this point, I hadn't told a single soul what the Lord had told me yet because it had only been maybe like a week or 2. So I hadn't told anybody. I'm still processing it with the Lord. I'm like, I hear you, or I'm moving and grooving. I'm here with you. And he tells me almost verbatim what the Lord told me alone. And he's like, this is what the Lord's telling me for you. I was like, oh. It was really interesting because it was the things I had heard alone with the Lord. It was the confirmation and the motivation of where he wants to take me without necessarily the specifics of the numbers and the schedule and everything. But it was just the reminder of like, here's where I'm taking you. Are you in it with me? And I'm like, yep, I'm in it with you. And so the next night, my friend Marlena, who's coming on the podcast very soon, is doing a prophetic call. And so I'm on with Marlena and she's like, listen, the Lord downloaded something. Like, I'm doing this call to tell you what the Lord downloaded for me. And she's like, I know this is for somebody. And she starts speaking again. And it is almost the same thing again for me. And I was like, okay, like I see you. Like, God, I see you in this. I see what you're doing and where this is going. So I'm just going to give you a little insight into what that looks like. For the last month or so, I've completely changed my nighttime routine because I think in order to have a good morning routine, you have to have a good night routine. I'm going completely screen free at 9 o'clock. And I have like a whole skincare routine now, which my husband commented last night how incredibly smooth my face is. I'm using my gua sha to drain my lymphatic system in my face twice a day now. So I do that at night. I'm changing my hair care routine, which looks incredible in only 2 weeks. I'm changing up my nighttime routine. I'm reading at night a physical book, which I'm going to talk about reading in a minute. I bought a new sleep mask. I have such a hard time falling asleep because I'm so type A. My brain is always thinking about what is next. I have this blackout eye mask. What I like about it is it's puffy on the bottom, so it's not sitting directly on my eyes. It hovers around my eyes, but it is completely blackout. I've become obsessed with my sleep and how I'm sleeping. So I also started using mouth tape. That's been like a big thing. If you want my recs on mouth tape, shoot me a message. I thought it was like nuts. I'm going to be really honest. I track my sleep with my watch. My sleep score is typically 60s to mid 70s. I do not sleep well. I sleep really lightly. I just don't sleep well. My mouth tape and my eye mask came the same day. I used them both the first night. My sleep score shot up into the mid 80s. And I was like, that's crazy. My sleep score consistently has been in the 90s. I had a 95 sleep score the other day. And for somebody who's usually like in the 60s, that's a big deal. And I definitely credit it to the mouth tape. I always sleep with the Bluetooth like mask on to help me fall asleep. I used it the other night, just the eye mask, not my mouth tape, because I forgot to put it on. My sleep score was back in the 60s. So clearly using that is a game changer for me. It like forces you to breathe out of your nose. Mine has a little hole in it, so you can still breathe through your mouth, but you can't open your mouth. I haven't been grinding my teeth or clenching them when I sleep. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not waking up with a sore throat because I'm not accidentally having my mouth open while I'm sleeping. So lots of perks. I'm definitely sleeping better. My watch, I have quantifiable data that says I'm sleeping better and I feel it. I'm definitely sleeping better. And so I am like really strict at 9:45 because it takes the average person 14 minutes to fall asleep. So at 9:45, I put on like the Abide app or something to listen to. And my watch consistently tells me that I'm asleep before 10. So usually it takes like 10 to 12 minutes for me to fall asleep if I have that on, which is really helpful. So I'm going to bed at an excellent time. Then I've been getting up at about 5, but it's really interesting because my sleep pattern is so good. I'm usually waking up like 4:45, which has been great. I have a whole morning routine. I remove the mouth tape first, but then I also made my alarm morning affirmations. So before my brain has even had a chance to wake up and connect with anything, I'm hearing biblical affirmations first thing in the morning through my headband. So that's really helpful. Mouth tape comes off. I use ice to rub over my face and it gets rid of the puffiness. Also wakes me up. I'm down to half a cup of coffee a day, which is huge because I used to drink 3. This has changed. I know I mentioned this before, but I went to the Every Woman's Marathon back in November, beginning of November. And I loved it. I loved the energy. I was like, could I run a marathon? I am not a runner. I definitely have weight to lose. There's no way I could train for a marathon. I kept telling myself this lie. I can't train for a marathon. And then the Lord was like, yes, you can. You can train for a marathon because I'm giving you a whole new schedule and you're doing things differently. You're treating your body differently. And so I was like, okay. I went to the running store local to me. I spent like literally 45 minutes there getting fitted, learning how I walk, talking about my gym routine because I've been going to Hot Works, which I'm obsessed with. I love going there. I get so much accomplished in such a short time, literally obsessed. So I was telling him all about my cross training schedule and what I'm taking, what I'm doing. Like we went through all of it. And so I've been training for a marathon and I've been consistent for like a month, getting up early, going running. I was really proud of myself because the first time I went running, I could barely run a mile without wanting to keel over and die. And then, like 2 weeks in, I ran just short of 2 miles. And I was like, oh, we did it. We're doing things. I have a half marathon. Registration doesn't open until February, but I'm going to register for half marathon that takes place in September. And then I'm going to do a full out here in Hilton Head, February of 2026. So I've been training, which I've learned a lot about business. Maybe if you guys are interested, I can tell you all the business and leadership lessons I've learned just training for a marathon for a month. I've been doing things differently. Because I've been doing things differently, I feel better. I'm starting my day earlier. I'm getting way more accomplished. I am leading my team differently because I'm showing up with a completely different energy. And the Lord also told me this year I was going to help 5 people earn multiple 6 figures at Kingdom Alliance. And I'm offering to mentor that person daily. So I'm just going to throw that out there if this is for you. So I'm going to ask that you commit to me for a year and really be coachable for a year if this is something you want to do. I already had 2 people take that spot, 2 or 3. I have to double check that the one person's really in. So I realistically might only have 2 left, but daily mentorship. So all you have to do is join Kingdom Alliance as a VIP because there's leadership training, there's speaker training, there's things that I'm going to want you to do, but daily accountability. I'm talking daily check-in Monday to Friday. Here's your next step. Here's what to do. Here's how to respond, like fully available to you so you can earn multiple 6 figures. And I realistically think that if somebody started in January, by July, you would be consistently making $20,000 a month. If that's something you're like, I want to do, I want to grow as a leader, I want to develop, I want to build a second income, a third income, or whatever it is. You want this to become your main income. Maybe you're a coach, and this would be a really solid choice for you to serve your clients at a lower ticket or as a continuation of your high ticket without having to continue to serve them one-on-one because the mentorship community serves them for you. Then reach out to me. So I'm just going to give you a quick lowdown on how it works. It's $446 to join US, and then 30 days later it's $149. My goal, and I've done this before, is I had somebody on my team. She just texted me ready to hit the ground running. What she did in her first 30 days is, because we pay you double your first 30 days, we made enough in her first realistically 12 hours to cover the cost of her mentorship for the entire year. So she made her money back plus covered her mentorship for the whole year in 12 hours. That's what I would like to help you do. You're getting paid to be mentored. That's my goal, that you're getting paid to be mentored. Everything she has made after those first 12 hours has just been extra money for her, extra income. I'm going to put that out there for you. I've done it before with people on my team. I personally have never paid for my mentorship here because I always make far more than what it costs to be a part of this community. So I just take it right out of my commission and I pocket the rest. I want to start with people in January. I'll reevaluate in February or March, see if I want to take new people on, but ideally they've been leading and growing and doing things. I realistically might have like 1 or 2 spots left at the time that I'm recording this, and just trusting the Lord in whatever that capacity looks like. Oh, the other thing I said I was going to talk about reading. I have a free resource. I started talking about the books that I'm reading. I already finished one and it's the 6th of January. I'm almost done with my second. I have a list of 35 books that I'm reading this year. I put them into categories and on a PDF because a couple people are like, what are you reading? So if you want it, it's going to be in the show notes for you, or you go to, I have to check my Instagram if you just want to directly download it. lemonprice.co/2025 books. So if you want the reading list, it's there. I'm reading a ton this year and really focused on growth and learning. So I know that this wasn't necessarily a big life-changing episode, but what I want to encourage you to do is just be still, hear from the Lord. and ask him for your next step. Ask him what you're supposed to do. Because when I very intentionally prayed about it and I had other people pray about it with me, it changed everything for me. And I got the most direct download from the Lord I've ever received in my entire life. I want to encourage you that the Lord will speak to you if you ask him to, and he will give you what you need. In this new year, as we move forward, I think the Lord is going to do some big things. I've heard this from a lot of people. The last couple of years have been a season of preparation, and now it's time to go. So if you feel like it's your time to go, then I'm here for you. If you could use prayer every Monday, we have a prayer call at 11:30 Eastern. It's usually 20, 30 minutes long. Just come. You can share what good thing the Lord has done for you and have people pray over whatever you need to pray for. That is every Monday, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, 20 to 30 minutes. And the link is just ourkingdomalliance.com/pray. You can come. It's the same link every week. Come and join us in some prayer. I am really looking forward to next week's episode. I have some incredible people coming on. Kyle and Ariel, a couple who work together. They're both believers. But it was interesting to hear from Kyle as we talked about how they both had to deconstruct, not in the way the apologetics community talks about deconstruction, but more deconstruction from church culture as opposed to what scripture says. What impacted their relationship to deconstruct from church culture and has radically shifted their relationship and identities. I'm excited for it. I hope this episode was helpful for you. It's been helpful for me. I'm teaching a class starting on Friday, how to grow your network in 2025. It's only 4 weeks, Fridays, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. I'm doing that. So if you want in, send me a message on Instagram or Facebook and say, hey, I want to do grow your network. It's part of our Kingdom Alliance. So you could do that mentorship and learn how to grow your network at the same time. I'm teaching Radiant Leadership Academy at the end of the month. So it's ICF accredited, 16-week biblical leadership. I'm very excited about it. It has been super transformational for me. And I have a lot of new people taking it, which I'm very excited for. And then we also have the Speaker Academy starting this month. If you have wanted to become a better speaker, if that was on your 2025 vision board, bingo card, whatever, however you want to say it, that is also starting this month. So you can message me about any of those. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. I hope you had an incredible holiday. I hope the Lord does something radical in your life that is just undeniable and takes you places that only he can get glory for. I hope that he does something so radical that people will just look at you and only see the Lord. That's my prayer for you this year, that he does something so big that it is undeniable. I love you, and I will see you all next week. Bye, friend. Hey, friend, what a joy it has been to share today's journey with you. If you found a spark of inspiration or a nugget of wisdom that resonated, would you bless someone else by sharing this episode with them? It could be the encouragement they need to step into their purpose and calling. Also, if you could spare a moment to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I really appreciate your feedback, and it really helps our community grow. Remember, the road to discovering God's call for you isn't one you have to walk alone. So join me again next Monday for another episode where we'll continue to explore the depths of leadership and the heights of our heavenly calling. Until then, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep trusting in his plan. God bless you, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, friend.